It's been a minute, as the kids say. I mean, we haven't talked in like a month and a half.
I know, you get the good vacations, man. You go everywhere under the sun. You leave me with the professor, man. Where'd you go? Like, you went to Dubai or something? Where'd you wind up?
No. Galapagos Islands.
Oh.
No, it was
Pretty good.
no, it's all I need the one day for the real job too, right? So some days I just can't. And the professor, he did an admiral job. Hey,
He did.
last night we just talked about this. I was gonna play the over under, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay away. And I'm watching that football game between BC and Hamilton at halftime, and I'm like, oh, I'm smart. I didn't take the under or the over. Just kind of, wow, what a shootout at the end. Again, another classic, instant classic. Big fumble at the end for Hamilton. Those two teams, they should have to play every other week, Farhan, just for excitement factor.
Yeah, you know what? When they get together, it's great, right? I mean, you got two great quarterbacks in Mitchell and Rourke, and pretty good receiving cores when they're on. And yeah, it was an exciting game. It certainly looked like BC's defense had things going in the first half of that game, but their penalties prevented them from kind of stretching the lead a little bit. And then Hamilton catches on fire like they did in the third quarter of that game. But, I was impressed with how BC responded after a number of Saskatchewan scoring drives. So, that was a positive for them as well. But just when you can put up that many yards and that many points, 400 for Rourke, 300 for Bo, and, James Butler getting involved in all of that, it was a lot of fun to watch. CFL football at its best.
It, hands down. The other thing, too, that we've seen from Hamilton over the last couple of weeks, so I've noticed it anyway, is teams obviously are taking away Kenny Lawler. Tim White had a game till the fumble. Looked good for that. But Bo's starting to spread it around as well. Hamilton's for real, right? It's safe to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think their offense is explosive. They've got as good a receiving core as anybody in the league. And, Bo is playing the best football of his career, right? I don't think this is just a blip. Like, you go back and see what he did in Calgary. What he's doing now is even more impressive in my estimation. And I think the defense has been good for the most part, right? They're an experienced group. They've got some injuries on that side of the ball that are affecting them a little bit. We'll see what happens with Stavros Katsantonis, but overall, I like what they're doing defensively as well. So I think Hamilton is very much for real. I mean, I've said, since the start of the year that I think Saskatchewan's really good, and they're right now the best team in the CFL, right? I mean, I was a big fan of Montreal coming into the season, but they're different without Davis Alexander. But right now, Saskatchewan and Hamilton are the two best teams in the league.
How bad did BC need that win?
Huge. The way they lost the Hamilton game the last time, if you would have given me a wish list, I wish that this epic 2-game series, I just wish the home team had won their games, right? Yeah. That if BC would have found a way last week and Hamilton would have found a way this week, just because, it's always good for the league when home teams win games. But, BC really struggled 2 weeks earlier against Saskatchewan. Then they let one slip away against Hamilton, had to sit on that through a bye week. They needed that big time to creep closer to 500 and, to maintain their hold on a playoff spot, regardless of what division it winds up in.
Exactly. Now we got some at, 1.5 points, some at 2. For Montreal as a favorite tonight against Edmonton. What are you making of that football game? McLeod Bethel Thompson against his former team, and obviously Cody against his.
Yeah, I'm picking Edmonton. I think Edmonton has done a lot of really good things in the last couple of weeks, and they've just found a way to come up short. I thought they should have beat Hamilton in the last game. You drop the touchdown pass, you give up the play down at the goal line late in the half. They were better, but Hamilton is just more confident, right? Winning teams find ways to win, losing teams find ways to lose. But I just think some breaks will even out for Edmonton. The thought of going back to Montreal, I think, means more to Cody than the thought of McLeod facing his former team. McLeod hasn't been good. Cody has been. That entire team, in my opinion, with the injuries they've had at receiver and what's going on with at the quarterback position, I think they've lost their way a little bit. And like I said, I think Edmonton's done a lot of good things these last 2 weeks, and I think they're going to be rewarded in this game tonight. So I had it at 3.5 when I made my pick a couple of days ago. I took Edmonton. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking this, the 1.5. I don't mind Edmonton on the money line too. I can buy into that 51.5 too. I'm gonna just stay away from the over-unders because obviously I'm clueless. after last night.
You're
I
not
asked,
alone, my friend. Like it's tough to I stay away from picking total points for sure. I just stick with the regular point spreads and wins and losses.
I asked Suits this yesterday. Kind of curious to get your take on a few. Let's start with our Riders after 8 games, 7-1. Yeah, and people are still walking down Albert Street, like Maz says, with their Pilsner flags tied around their neck. We still got a long way to go here. But as of today, Farhan, who would you give the let's start most valuable defensive player for the Riders?
Jameer Thurman, Micah Johnson are the two guys that really stand out to me, right? I think Micah doing what he's doing at this age, the way he's drawing double teams, he's been outstanding. And Thurman just kind of makes everything better. We all want to look at Roland Milligan, especially after the year he had last year. He's not playing poorly, but so much of his game is generating turnovers, and those haven't been there to the same number. So, yeah, Thurman or Micah, I think, are the two for me. What do you think?
Man, it's a slippery slope. I like what Ray's done, to be honest. I like Carney, Johnson.
Yeah.
Like I would probably go Thurman though. I think after thinking about it yesterday, offensively, everybody yesterday we kind of thought Trevor Harris, what he keeps doing, how he keeps rolling. Maybe offensively, surprise for you from the Riders. Is there one surprise? A pleasant surprise?
Well, I mean, there's just been so many, right? Like Dante Myers was poised to have a great year, and he's jumped right into that role. Robustelli. When you look at what they've dealt with in terms of injuries at receiver with Kean Schaefer-Baker and Sam Emilus again, and A.J. Ouellette's been kind of up and down, right? He's had some moments of dominance, and then he's had some moments where, he's disappeared a bit. I think Jamarcus Hardrick, we don't talk about offensive linemen, but what he's done for that offensive line has been as valuable as anything. Yeah. But ultimately, Trevor Harris right now is the MOP frontrunner in the West. I think Bo in the East for sure. But those two guys have been outstanding, and Vernon Adams in Calgary. But I think you have to give it to Trevor. And for me, I think the second guy would really, really be Jamarcus Hardrick.
He's a leader. That's for sure. Let's go to NFL here. Like we got a Joe coming up in hour 2. Hopefully he's going to call in after 3 catches for 18 yards last night for Indianapolis and a little preseason tilt with the Baltimore Ravens. What are you hearing about the other Canadians? Some of the other Canadians down south. Maybe the Rourke that is somewhat tied to the Riders. What are you hearing there?
Well, I mean, in terms of Curtis, I was there at training camp for San Francisco, and he's on the non-football injury list, so he's got to wait until the 6th week of the regular season before he's able to practice with them. So he's been in all the meetings. They've already made a change at the bottom of their quarterback depth chart. They had was it Tanner Mordecai, and they cut him, and then they brought in another guy to get a look at, all of which, in my opinion, bodes well for Curtis in terms of him being able to, solidify that number 3 spot for this season when he's healthy enough to make that happen. So, I'd love to say they love what he's doing, but he's not doing anything besides rehab. So we'll see. I'm curious to see what Taylor Elgersma looks like in Green Bay's first preseason game, because he's going to get some playing time there. I think Matt LaFleur has said that all 4 quarterbacks are going to play in the first game a meaningful amount. And I think then as things progress, Elgersma is going to play even more. So he's flashed a little bit. We saw him throw the touchdown pass in the holiday game, but I want to see how he processes and handles the entire operation of game day, or just a given play, right? I think that's going to be interesting as well. I saw last night Sidney Brown looked really good for the Eagles in their game. He got a lot of playing time in the early going. So, there's a few more I want to see. I want to see Detroit. I think they play tonight, and I want to see what the offensive lineman out of UBC, Gio Manu, does in that game. Same thing with Theo Benedette when Chicago plays. So there's a few I'm looking forward to seeing. Yeah,
that Jets Packers game's tomorrow at 6 p.m. our time. So yeah, that will be interesting. And then I want to ask you, Cleveland? How many quarterbacks is too many quarterbacks? I know there's some injuries going on there, but was it you that said Shadir's going to start this year? I can't remember. One of our guests did.
I've not said that. I don't know that that's going to happen. I mean, it's a long way to go to climb from number 4. But I've heard good things from Cleveland in terms of what he's done with the limited reps he's had. Now he's going to play a lot, right? He's starting this first game because they've got 2 injuries at quarterback right now. So I think everybody's eyes are going to be on that because he's going to face some defensive starters. He's going to play with some offensive starters. I mean, it's not going to be the full meal deal, but he'll get an opportunity to make a statement. And whenever he plays, everybody's going to be watching. I mean, look, every one of the quarterbacks in that system's got some questions. So is it possible? It's possible, but I'm not forecasting Shedeur Sanders to start games for Cleveland because I think their defense is going to keep them in so many games that, when you get to Shedeur, it's either going to be a lot of injuries or you've mailed it in on the season.
Okay, and before I got to get your take on this because you've coached football, your kids are playing football at a high level. The smelling salt, what the NFL's come down with the smelling salts.
Yeah, we see it all the time, right? And when I go to a game and I'm on the sidelines at the end of a game, you see the smelling salt capsules everywhere on the sidelines. Like it's a big part of football culture. It's a big part of hockey culture, right? You see it on NHL benches all the time also. So I get why, there have been some studies done that it's not the best thing for you. So I get why the NFL is saying, look, we're not going to be a party to this. And then it's up to the CFLP or the NFLPA and everybody else to decide just how much you're going to allow this. But there are players that just need that adrenaline rush, or I don't want to say they need it, but they believe they need it. And you see it at the start of games. It's a thing. So look, I don't like it. I think it's a bad look. I think it's a bad example. I can't stand chewing tobacco in Major League Baseball games for the same reasons. So, but it does sound like NFL players are still going to use it. They've just got to provide their own. The teams aren't going to do it for them.
You got to bring your own. Okay. Hey, we have a message here from McKen F on the YouTube channel. This wants to pass on. Says, I enjoyed Farhan doing play-by-play last week.
Thank you very much. I enjoy doing it. I will do the Saskatchewan at Calgary game later this month. I'm looking forward to that.
Really? Right on.
Yeah.
Okay, give us a plug.
Battle for first in the West. It'll be a good one.
You tell everyone how much you love the Sports Cage. All right, Farhan, have a good weekend. Appreciate you. And guess what? I'm on holidays next week, so you'll be with Maz.
Shocker. All right.
See ya. See ya, Farhan Lalji.